The streets are talking. Should the San Francisco 49ers trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams in a trade that would involve the 49ers and the Las Vegas Raiders? This coming after Brandon Aiyuk's trade request yesterday, which we broke down right here on the Niners Report. And naturally, we segue to today's poll question. Which receiver would you rather have on the Niners? Type DA for Davante Adams, BA for Brandon Aiyuk. Let's break all of this down because these rumors pertaining to the Niners very juicy. It's all coming your way right now. I'm Chase Sr. Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report right here on Chat Sports. It's all presented by Roan. I'm wearing their commuter polo right now. You can go from the golf course to the office. You can look good, you can feel good, and make sure you accomplish that with Roan and get 20% off your order at roan.com/chatsports. Use the code ChatSports at checkout. So the story of the day in Ninerland. Rumors are circulating that the Raiders are interested in wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk following his trade request from San Francisco yesterday. And what's interesting about this is if this trade were to come to fruition, superstar wide receiver Davante Adams of the Raiders could be included in this deal as a wide receiver swap, which could really appease both sides for the Niners and Las Vegas. Why this trade could happen? Brandon Aiyuk's best friend, right after the Niners lost the Super Bowl to the Kansas City Chiefs in Las Vegas, said that BA will play for the Raiders this upcoming season in 2024. Aiyuk has some ties to the Raiders. Raiders' current head coach Antonio Pierce coached Aiyuk at Arizona State when Pierce was an assistant under Herm Edwards, who has a really good relationship with general manager John Lynch. That was part of the reason why San Francisco got good intel on wide receiver Ricky Pearsall, which resulted in Pearsall going to the Niners with the 31st overall pick in the 2024 draft back in April. And a new Brandon Aiyuk deal could cost more than the current contract that Davante Adams is playing under, at least for the 2024 campaign. You take a look at this list of the highest paid wide receivers per year in the NFL. You have Justin Jefferson atop that list, highest paid wide receiver in the history of football, $35 million per year. He also set the record for the most guaranteed money paid to a wide receiver in the history of the NFL. A.J. Brown, contract restructure and extension with the Philadelphia Eagles. He's making $32 million average annual value. Tyreek Hill at 30. Amon-Ra St. Brown at 30 as well. Jalen Waddle at 28.25. And there you see Davante Adams, $28 million flat per season. The average annual value on that deal that he signed with the Raiders after that trade from the Green Bay Packers, followed by Cooper Kupp, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, and DK Metcalf. Then you flip the page to the highest paid wide receivers in guaranteed money. Justin Jefferson at 110, A.J. Brown at 84, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 77.7, Jalen Waddle at 76, Cooper Kupp at 75, Tyreek Hill at 72.2, and Davante Adams sitting pretty, 65.5, followed by Amari Cooper at 60, DK Metcalf at 58.2, and trailing him, Deebo Samuel at 58.1. So again, if Brandon Aiyuk were to get traded to the Las Vegas Raiders, he could sign a new deal with Las Vegas. They bring in a younger wide receiver. They pay him more. And for San Francisco, they're still in this Super Bowl window. They bring in an older wide receiver who might end up being just a tad cheaper. And as we know, there are some financial constraints with this organization moving forward. They're 6th right now in cap space, according to Over the Cap. But next year, at least as of right now, San Francisco more than $30 million over the cap. What we know about the Aiyuk situation, according to Mike Silver, San Francisco Chronicle, the Niners are said to be offering $26 million per year. Aiyuk might want 28 to 30, and Deebo Samuel got $58.1 million in guaranteed money. There's no doubt that Aiyuk is shooting for more than that. Now, this rumor is coming from Pretty Ricky, who became a legend during NFL free agency because he was reporting on things before Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter, and the likes of those types of NFL insiders. And he took to the mean streets of X today and said this, rumor, Raiders are a team interested in trading for Brandon Aiyuk. Aiyuk knows Antonio Pierce from Arizona State, and here's the fun part. The Raiders would send Davante Adams to the Niners in any trade. Davante has no real money on his deal after this season. That's, of course, interesting for what we're about to get to here as we take a look at Davante Adams' remaining contract. Would there be risk here for the Niners? There's no doubt about that. Aiyuk is 26 years old. He's emerging. He's been in the league 4 years. Every year he's been in the NFL, he's gotten better. Davante Adams still playing at an extraordinarily high level, still an elite wide receiver, but he's 31 years old, but still the better and more productive wide receiver. You also do have some team control with Davante Adams if you do make this move, but it's very expensive under the current construct of his deal. Now, in 2024, he's pretty affordable for the player that he still is. A base salary of $16.89 million and a cap hit of $25.35 million. But in 2025-2026, skyrockets. 35.6 is the base salary in 2025 with the cap hit of 44.1. In 2026, base salary of 35.6 and once again the cap hit of 44.1. Unrestricted free agent in 2027. Now, the non-guaranteed money left on that deal is obviously huge. Davante Adams could play under this money for the Niners in 2024, and then maybe San Francisco could restructure that contract following the 2024 season. For those of you who have watched the receiver documentary, I'm a couple of episodes in. As of right now, Davante Adams, miserable with the Raiders. Hated playing with Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels. The thing now is that as that docuseries progressed, Jimmy Garoppolo got benched, Josh McDaniels got fired, but the Raiders still have massive quarterback question marks. Aiden O'Connell could start if it's not Gardner Minshew. Brock Purdy is so much better. And the Niners as an organization, a team, roster, so much better than what the Raiders have right now and moving forward. And Davante Adams said in that receiver documentary, I judge myself on greatness. I want to win a Super Bowl. I didn't win it with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. He's not going to win it with the Las Vegas Raiders. He could win it with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the concern, obviously, with that Adams contract, the base salary, the cap hits, huge, as some people would say, huge. But following that 2024 season, can you make some things work and finagle with the salary cap? With that, let's pop up another question for the audience here. Would you trade Brandon Aiyuk for Davante Adams? Type T for trade or P for pass. Sound off with what you think down below in the comment section right now. Coming up next, we're going to take a look at how the production stacks up between these two wide receivers because both players are excellent. First, today's show sponsored by our friends at Roan. I love the shirt that I'm rocking right now. It is the Roan Commuter Polo, and you can get 20% off your order when you go to roan.com/chatsports and use the code chatsports. You can use that code in person or online. And I love what Roan has to offer, from really comfortable, durable, and classy shorts and pants to their shirts. I hate shirts, especially dress shirts that are too long. It's just out of style. And I want to have the versatility and the flexibility of wearing a dress shirt untucked or tucked with a nice little belt. You can wear it under a suit jacket. You can wear it by itself. It's perfect for date night. A polo like this is awesome for the golf course. I'm going golfing on Friday. I might wash this, take to the golf course because it is hot during these summer months. I'm able to cool down with this material here, which is stretchable, durable, and you don't have to worry about going to the dry cleaner because the more that you wear these shirts, they have wrinkle release technology. See for yourself at roan.com/chatsports. Use the code chatsports for 20% off your order. We'll put all of this information down below in the show notes and attached to the pinned comment of today's San Francisco 49ers report. So we progress here with this conversation about a potential trade sending Aiyuk to Las Vegas, bringing in Davante Adams. These two teams, obviously rivals, San Francisco Oakland back in the day, the fight for Bay Area supremacy. Obviously, the Raiders never faithful to the Bay. They left for Los Angeles. They went back to Oakland. Now they're in Las Vegas, and the Niners always faithful to the Bay. FTTB, the real ones know. As for Aiyuk's production, first 4 years in the NFL, he's gotten better, he's progressed, he's improved, he's really emerged into one of the top wide receivers in the National Football League. And at 26 years old, he's a spectacular player who's coming off second-team All-Pro honors this past year. In 2023, no season's better than what he had this past year. 75 catches, 1,300-plus yards, 17.9 yards per catch. That was second in the NFL. His receiving yards, top 10 in the National Football League. He was just elite all across the board, especially when you take a look at some of the in-depth analytics, which we've covered and talked about here on the Niners Report. As for Davante Adams, Aiyuk is trying to become this player right here. Adams has been special since being drafted by Green Bay out of Fresno State. He linked up with Aaron Rodgers. They were the best wide receiver quarterback duo in the NFL for a few years there with the Packers. And Adams has put together a spectacular career. 3-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler. He has led the NFL in receiving touchdowns twice, back in 2020 and as recently as the 2022 campaign. His last 4 years, there has not been a decline in Adams' play. He's continued to be consistent. He's continued to be highly productive. He's continued to be elite. And what's crazy, I wonder what Brandon Aiyuk would be able to do with this amount of targets. And consider and factor in what Adams has been able to accomplish with bad quarterback play the last 2 years. Derek Carr was average 2 years ago, and Davante Adams still targeted 180 times, 100 grabs, 1,500 plus yards, and 14 touchdowns. Aiyuk would salivate at that amount of targets. And then this past year with Jimmy Garoppolo, who was terrible, or as Charles Barkley would say, man, he was terrible. 175 targets, 103 catches, still 1,100 plus yards and 8 touchdowns. That was with bad quarterback play. Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell, yet Adams still a focal point in that offense, whereas the Niners, since trading for Christian McCaffrey, have a pass rate that is dead last in the NFL at 32nd. So a fair question to pose here. On top of all of this, would the Niners, because of Davante Adams' age, the usage, even though there hasn't been a slight decline, ask for a pick back due to the age of Davante Adams because Aiyuk is also the younger player? As part of this conversation, ESPN putting out their list of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL going into the 2024 season. This is the list. Justin Jefferson at number 1, no surprise there. Tyreek Hill at number 2. Jamar Chase at number 3. CeeDee Lamb cracking the top 5 there in that 4 spot. Davante Adams at number 5. A.J. Brown coming in behind him at number 6. Amon-Ra St. Brown at number 7. Mike Evans at number 8. Stephon Diggs at number 9. And Brandon Aiyuk at number 10. So if the 49ers make these rumors and reports come true, and they swap Brandon Aiyuk and Davante Adams, this would be the ultimate blockbuster trade where you swap wideouts, Aiyuk to Las Vegas, Adams to San Francisco, and it would send a ripple effect throughout the entire National Football League. Here's what ESPN had to say specifically on Davante Adams. Adams was our back-to-back number 1 in 2021 and 22. He finished number 2 behind Justin Jefferson last year. The drop to number 5 isn't all of his fault. Adams has played with 5 different starting quarterbacks since joining the Raiders via a trade in 2022. That is not something that he envisioned happening when he asked out of Green Bay, as multiple voters pointed out. And he's on a Hall of Fame track with this 95 touchdown reception since 2015, the most among NFL players over that stretch. But his 11.1 yards per reception last year, his lowest average since 2015. I think that's more of a byproduct of bad quarterback play as compared to him declining. He is still a blue chipper, said an NFL personnel evaluator. Still can win on the outside and get you tough yards, but you wonder what you're getting from him next year with the quarterback situation unsettled. Adams will be catching passes from second-year quarterback Aiden O'Connell or veteran free agent signing Gardner Minshew next year. He's still really good, but failed to make a few plays I've seen him make, and it seemed he was playing through a few nicks and bruises at the end of the season, an AFC offensive coach said. Well, if you've been watching the receiver documentary, Davante Adams very frustrated in the middle and start to that docuseries, and he also said, I've never been hit like this before in my NFL career. I'm taking shots. I'm getting hurt every single game. He had that stinger in his shoulder, and he was banged up. And I'm sure that he was very frustrated with the subpar quarterback play from Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell. And then that offense under Josh McDaniels was a mess. Here's what ESPN had to say about Aiyuk, who did crack the top 10. Where did Deebo fall? Hang out to find out. We'll get to that here in a moment. Aiyuk won a tiebreaker with Rams receiver Cooper Kupp thanks to his breakout season in 2023. Aiyuk has come a long way from starting his career in Kyle Shanahan's doghouse due to inconsistencies as a rookie. He's worked his way into premier status, more downfield production, huge jump in yards per catch. Quietly has almost 300 career catches, said an NFL executive who voted Aiyuk top 3. Is that because he's trying to trade for Aiyuk? Maybe. Excels as a blocker. Lower body ability is as good as anyone. Aiyuk, who has 269 career catches through 4 years, upped his yards per catch from 14.8 to 17.9 in 2023, trailing on only George Pickens. More than 37% of his receptions went for 20-plus yards, tops in the NFL, with a minimum of 100 targets. In a loaded Niners offense, Aiyuk has emerged as a top target with 218 targets, far ahead of Deebo at 181 and George Kittle at 176. Saying an NFL personnel evaluator, premier route runner with open field juice. I think that aspect of his game, by the way, underrated. Aiyuk is really good at picking up yards after the catch, but it's overshadowed because Deebo Samuel is so dynamic as the Yak King. Speaking of the aforementioned Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel, an honorable mention, just on the cusp of being a top 10 receiver in ESPN's top 10 receiver rankings. Here's why he did not crack that list. ESPN on Deebo. Whoa. Can you unblock me on Twitter? Still one of the best playmakers in all of football, averaging 8.8 yards after the catch per reception. That led the NFL. Durability has been a bit of a concern, but is the ultimate weapon, an AFC exec said. I'll expand on this further in a future 49ers report, by the way. We'll go in-depth on Aiyuk, in-depth on Deebo, but I agree. Last 2 years since signing that contract, he's been banged up. He's lacked a little bit physically just because of those injuries, but he is looking like a motivated and possessed man throughout this offseason, and hopefully that leads to a breakout year for Deebo Samuel as compared to the last 2 seasons. Should Aiyuk on that list be higher or lower than number 10? H for higher, L for lower. Let me know down in the comment section. Be sure to give me a follow on social media. Things are popping right now, I got to be honest. It's a humble brag, but I love to see it. At Chase_Senior. Don't be a stranger, say what's up, and we'll catch you later here on the Niners Report.